Hello everyone and welcome to the latest edition of the True Potential Do More With Your Money podcast. My name is Greg Lang and today I'm joined by some of my colleagues who I'll introduce in a moment, but we're going to talk around the month of July. It was a very, very busy month yet again here at True Potential. So I've got Kevin, Diane and Amy joining me today to really go through all of the different things that goes on here, not just at head office, but in the wider, True Potential ecosystem. Now, before we get into it, I just wanted to make a couple of points. The time of recording is quite important because we've had a lot of market changes and movements. So Monday the 5th of August and it is 11 a.m. or just past 11 because Kevin, you were very late arriving this morning. So 6 minutes late, so not on. But before we get into the markets and the likes, I'm going to jump across to you, Amy, because as you should know in true tradition, I would like, this is your first time on the podcast.
Yeah.
So please tell me something else that you've done for the first time and ideally in the last week or so.
We went go-karting on Friday and that was the first time I've ever done that.
And I know because I heard about this, you didn't finish first either.
No, I did
or
come
second.
last.
Yeah, last place. Well, someone's got to finish last, don't they? So might as well be you. And how was it?
It was good.
Good fun.
I don't think it's something I'd do again. After the first lap...
because you weren't very good at it.
No, I wasn't very good at all. After the first lap, my team were asking us, Amy, are you going to go a little bit faster this time? I was like,
Thanks for asking, but no.
I'll try, but...
And who won the go-karting? Do we need to know?
James Wood.
Oh, well, there you go.
I know.
I shouldn't have asked. James was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago with me, so... So we're going to talk about July. We've got a range of topics to get through from development. Diane, I know you and the team have been extremely busy. The relationship management team, Amy, obviously you're an expert coming from that team, so we'll get into that. But before we do, I think, Kevin, if I just jump across to you really for just some of the insights of what we're seeing in the markets and so on.
At the moment, so I think the overriding worry just for the markets is that, as you would expect, the US economy is slowing just a little bit. Yep. And the US economy drives much of the sentiment in global markets. And whereas the Bank of England did surprise us with a good surprise with an interest rate cut on Thursday, yep, the equivalent in the US, the Federal Reserve, didn't cut the day before. Now, that was expected, but I think markets are just a bit worried that monetary policy interest rates are too high and that the economy may, under the hood, be slowing a bit faster than is currently expected in the US. So the moves in the markets are way overdone because we had fairly strong updates from corporates last week. 75% of US firms have reported their earnings for the prior quarter. Guidance was okay. There's one or two pockets of weakness, but also on Friday the US monthly jobs number was actually quite positive. It was actually a positive number. So the unemployment rate in the US is increasing, as it is in the UK and as it is in Canada and parts of Europe, but jobs are still being created. But the market's just a little bit worried that perhaps we need more interest rate cuts, particularly in the US, as we go through and enter into the autumn. So nothing really to be too concerned about right now. The data is still supportive of a strong economic backdrop.
Yeah, and I normally do this on the podcasts, but just plugging in other features that we do, because obviously this is a weekly podcast looking at last month, but we do morning markets and we do other such bits of pieces. So I'm guessing if clients want to know more on markets or keep themselves more informed, there's other ways they can do
so
that.
There'll be plenty this week. So we've obviously got usual morning markets. We'll round out the week with the week in review. So I think including this podcast, our clients can look forward to 5 further updates really on what's going on in markets. So there'll certainly be enough colour and insight provided.
Yeah. And I think as well, just avoid the sensational headlines as well, because I don't know if anybody's seen the Sky News and BBC News this morning, but it's almost creating media by fear, isn't it? So just speak with the team, listen to our content, and Amy, pick up the phone and speak to one of the team at your end, because it's what you guys are there to help clients with. So I'm going to say let's just put the markets out the way, because there has been a lot of good in July, and I'm going to get into some of the numbers. So really, as usual, when we do the monthly, it's to thank each and every client that invests with True Potential. As of today, we're at 544,000 individual investors with True Potential, which is a significant number, and collectively they've got 31.7 billion pounds invested with True Potential. And when I wrote that number down, it goes on forever and ever and ever, and you kind of think we're the custodian of those assets, and we take that not just very seriously, but it's a real accolade for us to be trusted to look after those funds. And I think a couple of other highlights for the month: £421 million of business added on top of what we've already got. So that's new investments. And for me, the key highlight coming out of that is just under £20 million of that was impulse saved. And that's an internal term that we use. Externally, it's known as clients logging in, engagement with the technology and topping up. And I just see that number going up and up, which is a great thing, because you can impulse save from £1 upwards, which is a really neat tool to have, especially say if markets do take and this is not advice, but normally, if markets do take a little bit of a dip, it could be seen as a good time to get in and invest and use the technology to do that. So I think a real strong month, and I think, Diane, I'm just going to move away from the notes and jump over to you to just kind of link it in with impulse save and technology and client sites and things like that. It's why we have technology, isn't it? But
absolutely, we've always been a technology first company. We didn't start with a huge investment platform and 544,000 clients. We started with an advisor offering that allowed advisors to use technology to essentially run their business, and the model has grown from there. And when you think about 544 clients, we don't look at those big numbers, or we see the big numbers, but we gloss over them quite quickly. You become a little bit, I suppose, numb to them, because that's what we're dealing on a daily basis. What the technology does is it allows those 544,000 people as a collective to actually be seen as an individual. So you can log in, you can see what it means to you. And I think we've spoken consistently about the markets and what it does to clients, and what we do on the websites and the app is allow a client to actually see the reality of the market for them. Now, historically, this isn't something new. This is not something, it's not like COVID, where it was the first time we had a world virus and nobody really knew what was happening. This is what markets do. Mm. They do dip and they do come back. And last week was, I think, we're saying this morning, was the highest FTSE in a long time. The clients will see that on their websites when they're logging in, and I think it's testament to the technology that clients are. £20 million in a month is being saved by clients actually taking the opportunity to invest more.
Yep.
So from a technology point of view, we come on these podcasts consistently, and I can talk about what we've done through the month of July. So we're still ongoing with AI, and as you can imagine, some of it can be a slow burn, because we have to ensure that what we're doing with it is right and it's right for the business. So we'll get to a certain point where we park something because it's not actually working as we'd expect, or we don't see the benefit to a client. We've got the drawdown process, which is a huge process now that we're bringing in-house. And again, because that is such a big development, it's probably not going to be this month or next month where one of us sits here and says, that's done and it's rolled out. We have to release them in phases. So it might sound like we tend to iterate over what we've done. And we'll always, as I said, technology first. We're technology-led. So we are using the virtual reality headsets to provide a mechanism for advisors to be able to look at their dashboard, call clients, and it's actually really good. I didn't expect it. We'll always look at, like I say, the technologies. We've had Google Glass, we use the Watch app, we've got CarPlay. If the technology is right for True Potential and it's right for the clients, we'll build around it. So we got these headsets in. A couple of the mobile guys tried to do a demonstration last week. Didn't really go very well. So it's just as well we've got another couple of months before we're presenting this to the advisors. Yep. So that's one of the technologies that we've been working in and around in July that people won't have heard about.
No,
yet.
I'm hoping Keelan, the man behind the camera, is able to cut in a couple of pictures of the developers with
right.
the headsets on over us talking, because actually you're right. You can talk about technology, AI, and all the rest of it, and every now and then in my inbox I get invited to an AI webinar, or we're using AI, and I think the latest one this morning was one of the mobile phone companies talking about having an AI app, and you think, I'm sick of hearing about it, but actually I want to feel it and see it.
Yeah.
And seeing, you know, our developers and IT team upstairs walking around with a headset on, but, you know, playing with things in their vision. It was quite cool.
Yeah.
But also I think putting it into practice is the thing. And I think I always say this when we're talking about development of our systems. I sometimes hear a frustration from yourselves because you think, well, not much has happened this month, and you think a month's quite a short time in regards to building and launching new technology. But one of the things I like, which I now do on my drive to work, is listen to the audio, which again, personalised feed, skin in the game. We've got all the staff using it first, testing it, making sure it's ready for, you know, general consumption by 544,000 people. That's a lot of people. But
it is.
The personalised summary, I think, is really neat. And I don't know. Do you use it, or do you just log in and view your sites? What do you do?
I'm more just a log in and view the sites.
Yeah.
The market provides my personal summary every morning, so I'm quite happy with that.
You're living it every day. Yeah. Amy, do you?
I like logging in and listening to it.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to have on, so you don't need to see all of the figures and things. Someone's telling you what exactly's happened.
That's coming soon. So
it
just
is.
spoil the new tech
There's
release
two
for you
spoiler
there,
alerts
Diane.
in this one.
Two spoiler alerts. But and you loosely mentioned as well that the drawdown engine sort of changes really, and that probably means nothing to 99% of people listening to this. But it's a big change that we're making internally to better, not just say for financial advisors, but I think more importantly in turn, a better end-to-end solution for clients as well.
Yeah, so what we tend to do is we'll always build a technology in-house, unless there is a piece of kit out there that does what it needs to do and it does it very well. We're never going to reinvent the wheel. We want to be at the forefront of new technologies. Yeah. So we did have a third party that we were using to provide some of the data that we didn't necessarily have. Now, as you can imagine, we've had the pension since, 2012, 13 maybe? We've had 9 years of data now in relation to where clients are and what their personal situation is like. So as opposed to using a third-party piece of kit anymore, we brought that in-house. So we are now building the facility for clients to actually, they'll see their pension broken down into the way that we would refer to it as crystallised and uncrystallised pots, but they'll see it in terms of what have you taken and what is remaining within your pension. Yeah. We're redesigning some of the web pages so that actually it can show a client who is in drawdown, as we would refer to it. It will show them a projection for actually you're taking X amount per month, or you've taken this much as a lump sum. This is what it's actually done to your pension. Now, that's not us saying do or don't take more money. It's just, again, it's giving clients a visualisation as to what it actually means for them and a possible long-term effect. And it'll be able to say to them, do you need that income this month? Do you want that much money? Are you taking it because you feel like you have to, as opposed to knowing that it's there and it's available to you? And it's just going to make the process much slicker than it has been, because we're not going to need to communicate with another provider.
No, it's kind of internally it's a massive build, but
huge.
then in return externally it will provide massive benefits to, say, not just clients taking an income or a lump sum, but also people on the way up to that sort of, in accumulation and building up their pension. They can see how much they're going to need to then be able to start taking out of it as well. So I think that's a nice link into your team, Amy, because you're kind of, speaking and dealing with those 500,000 clients, which is a huge number. But I'm going to take one of the stats from your notes. Sorry for stealing it in advance. But 1 minute, 8 seconds. I mean, my kettle doesn't boil that quick. The amount of things that you can, try and do in 1 minute, 8 seconds. It's a ridiculously short time. I think it is insane to think that is the average time we answer the phone in. And I'm going to let you go into all other big numbers there.
So this month we actually had 11,825 calls. Across the month, our average time was 1 minute and 8 seconds, which is amazing from the team. I think the team sense sort of the urgency when clients are waiting. We know they're there, they're waiting for our help, and that's what we're there to do. We've also had 3,069 live chats that we've helped clients with too. The main queries that we've been having have been regarding sort of money out, so withdrawing from the pension or the ISA or the GIA. And the team have been really good at helping with assisting them, talking them through, booking in advisor appointments, different things like that, to ensure that the clients are accessing the money and doing everything that they want to do.
I mean, I can't remember the last time I rang any company and got it answered, never mind an average of 1 minute and 8 seconds. It's, and why I'm bringing that number up is, frustratingly, we want that below a minute. You know, it's sort of the management level. I can see everyone's smiling around the table. We work to our own standards at True Potential. We don't look across the wider industry and go, well, it's acceptable to wait 20, 30 minutes. So let's, we beat ourselves up over that extra 8 seconds because we want it in less than 1 minute, which is why I sort of thought it's a very good time, but also it's slightly above the benchmark that we set ourselves. So I'm sure the next monthly update will be letting everyone know that came down. But also I wanted to mention one of the reasons we're kind of aware of that is we're doing some of our sort of annual suitability reviews, which are a much longer call with clients, and we don't want to, get rid of that call to take the next one. The annual suitability review sort of is one thing, but then following up on the action plans and working with clients on their own bespoke plan. And I think, Diane, you mentioned it, everyone's on their own journey. It's not one client that all look the same. It's everyone individually. And I know the team spent a lot of time working with clients on their action plans as well, Amy.
Yeah, they have. It's important that we go through each action plan just to make sure investments are exactly what the client needs. The team are really good at paying close detail to even little things that clients may mention that we can pick up on. If there's something better that we can offer, if there's something that maybe has cropped up and clients don't realise it's as big of a deal as it is. The team's so good at thinking, no, I know you're saying it's not much, but let us help you with this. We're here to help you. Let us speak to an advisor and make sure everything's fine for you.
Money's very emotive, isn't it? It's you can't survive without it. And 1 minute and 8 seconds is just huge because 9 times out of 10, it doesn't matter who you try and ring, the options have changed. The options are now 1, do this, 2, do, and you sit and you wait to hear 8 or 9 options, or press 0 if you want to hold, and you've already 1 minute and 8 seconds there and just waiting for somebody to actually go through the options of what you might be able to do. So it's a no-brainer for me that you don't want to have a client at the end of the phone feeling frustrated because, like you say, they've been sat on hold for 20 minutes just waiting to ask what might be a simple question, but it might be a huge thing for them. Yeah,
and I don't want to turn this into an AI podcast because I don't understand it myself. A very complex thing, but I know one of the things we're looking to do is enhance those quick questions through the AI chats and the like. But as you mentioned, Diane, we'll not rush to get that out where it's given wrong information or isn't able to fully compute, which is why a significant amount of testing that we're going through. But we already are using it, say, for things like password resets or very simplistic questions through the site to be able to give clients, never mind waiting on hold for 1 minute, you can just chat with the system and get what you need.
Yeah, the intent has to be there. The intent has to be clear. And I think that's when people are sometimes fearful of AI. It's because, like you said, people don't understand it. It's this artificial intelligence. But the artificial intelligence has to learn from something. So you build a round of intent and then you kind of set that free on a test bed of clients, mostly us, and in-house members of staff. And once that intent is there and it's undeniable, so things like request, withdrawal, want some, that's very clear as an intent. We can then roll that out. So it does allow clients not to have to wait for 1 minute and 8 seconds, but they can go on, they can type in a series of words, it will understand the intent and it will either redirect them to a page on the website that will allow them to facilitate whatever the request might be, or it will say, we think you should speak to someone because the intent isn't clear. And there has to be that very, very clear process where the AI can do one thing or another.
Yeah, and I think that's important. There's always that fallback, isn't there? A human, which is what I'd prefer. Kevin and Amy, I'll kind of bring this one to both of you because I know it's something I'm hearing creeping a little bit from our advisors, which is predominantly my day-to-day, but we're sort of seeing people not preempting or guessing, but obviously the change of government, Labour coming in, what's that going to mean for me or my pension? Is it going to, are the rules around it going to change? And I know the same applying with a lifetime allowance as well. These are sort of things we're starting to hear people almost thinking of what could happen. And is that, I'll start with you, Amy, is that something we're starting to hear from clients as well?
Yeah, it is something that we're starting to hear, and we completely understand it. It can be scary. It's all new. We don't know what's happening. And it's just sort of the reassurance that we don't know just yet, but as soon as we do, then clients will know as well.
Yeah.
And whatever happens, we've got the advisors, we've got everyone here to help.
And is that what you're sort of
I don't think
thinking much about?
Yeah, the market's not as concerned about fiscal policy, sort of the intentions of government as it was, say, with Liz Truss. I think it's pretty clear that the government will announce some form of tax raising in the autumn, and that unfortunately is going to be either a combination of capital gains tax rises and or some, I guess, the pension freedoms we savers currently enjoy are probably going to be restricted, whether it's the sort of lump sum you can draw down at the start or whether it's the annual allowance. I think there's going to be something which is crimped a little bit to try and raise some money up front.
Yeah. And I think, as you said there, let's not try and preempt it. It's a couple of months away.
And that's a lifetime right now, given what's with the way markets are behaving.
Yeah, exactly. But I think anybody listening or viewing and you're sort of thinking, well, I'm months away from retirement, it is book an appointment with an advisor. It's exactly the purpose of your financial advisors to work you through the plan without, say, being preemptive, but based on today's rules, what's the best thing to do going forward. The last one I'm going to finish on, and I think this is a really, really upbeat one in a pretty, let's say, moody topic of motor neuron disease, which is something that affects a heck of a lot of people. And there's been a couple of, say, celebrities who've, gone through the battle quite out in the public eye, and it's probably a charity that's become a bit more well known. Fiona Rayner and Holly Curran, two members of staff who've both had family members or friends affected by this condition, put this forward as our charity of the month. And I think a big well done to both of the girls, because without their drive throughout the month of putting on events, doing stupid runs to work, from setting off early hours of the morning, running to work and getting a blister 3 miles. I saw that blister on Friday, by the way, and that was one hell of a blister. So Fiona ran from Washington, not in the States, Washington Tyne and Weir, all the way to work, which is 11 plus miles. 3 miles in, had a blister the size of this microphone. So, I mean, crikey. But made it all the way to work. They had a diva show, which I don't know what that means, but they had a diva show, which I know went very well and raised a lot of funds as well. And Holly walked and cycled over 100 kilometres in the month as well, and hosted a masterclass. So, crikey, it was a busy month for the two ladies. But I think the main thing is nearly £9,000 getting raised towards that charity. And it was announced at our staff update on Friday just what that £9,000 does, and you don't actually realise until you sort of hearing that can give equipment to doctors, and you say you're not just saying a laptop, but it's the software that's required to go on there to do the research, or the lives that it can change. It can change 4 people's lives directly, and you think, and we're just putting a couple of quid in a pot, but it all does add up. And I think when the staff donations get up to 4,000 plus, and then the company doubles it, it then makes a huge difference to the charity. So I think a big shout out to Fiona and Holly. And yeah, as I say, the blister was...
I haven't seen it yet.
You maybe don't want to. But put it this way, on Friday, she had to have Crocs on to let her foot air.
Right, okay.
So, and not that they're not normally part of the dress code, but I think we'll give an allowance. So well done to the two ladies for that. And I was going to ask you what you're doing this weekend, but it's a Monday for the recording. I know Diane, we were saying it felt like Thursday already, and it is Monday morning. So I'm going to ask you, have you got anything exciting in your diary this week?
Oh, I'm off to Legoland in Denmark. it's with the children. So
That's
I do
very
have something.
exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's very exciting.
that's happening. So it's the last weekend of the school holidays in Scotland. So we're off to Legoland.
Would you not rather be at work?
I'm not. Ask me next week when I get back.
Well, considering I did say to you, it's weird that it feels like Thursday. I haven't actually looked at my diary. I know when this podcast's done, I'm straight into another meeting this morning. But this weekend, actually, it's one of my best friend's birthdays, so I'll be celebrating with her. But alcohol-free. There we are. That's a change.
There's a first for everything, Diane.
It's just, yes, there we are.
And Amy?
I'm going to York this weekend to see one of my friends, so that'll be nice.
Not alcohol-free?
Very nice.
Probably not.
No, that's good.
Sensational.
Yeah.
Well,
About you, Greg?
it's Jamie Sexton's birthday on Friday, so there's a few of the lovely lads from the office going out to celebrate his birthday.
Do you want to apologise to Annie right now then, already on air?
No. I'll let Jamie do that the next time he
That's
does the
fair
recording.
enough.
So thank you all for your input today. I think, as you can probably tell, listeners and viewers, a very, very busy week, a busy month even at True Potential, and August's already got off to a very fast-paced start as well. So thank you for listening. As always, please do remember to like and subscribe. Thank you.